All right, y'all. Zeezzy the King. Like and subscribe. Zach King on social media. We out of horror month far as October. It was a great month. I covered a lot of different movies. I had certain base weeks, horror. I had horror slashers week. I had the body horror. I had the animal horror, sci-fi horror. But when I get to the slashers, I had a special category and I covered them. Y'all seen all the videos. I thank y'all for liking and subscribing and commenting. And I mentioned this guy, as you see in the thumbnail. I mentioned him a lot throughout the month. I didn't cover him because I did a series of in-depth analysis on these particular characters. But now I'm finna indulge in the franchise overall. I'm not gonna touch one, because that's a classic, iconic, legendary. It's up there with the big dogs. If that was a one-off type of movie, it'll even be higher in the esteem of movie horror lovers. But since they got 2 and 3 in the remake with Jordan Peele, I gotta touch them. Now, I don't really got nothing negative to say about the remake, so I'm not gonna touch that too much because I'm focusing on Tony Todd's Candyman, even though he have make a cameo at the end of this new remake, and I like that. But to me, it just felt like we trying to show Candyman to the modern era. Like, I seen Candyman in 92 as a kid. This new Candyman is for my children. And I gotta say something. I'm sorry I didn't drop too many videos. I'm coming today, tomorrow, and Saturday just to get back. My voice, it might not sound different, but I've been under the weather. My kids had a little sickness, and it's just like I'm thinking, okay, it's cool. It ain't gonna rub off on me. And every time my kids get sick, it rub off on me. 1 or 2 of them get sick, and then I get sick after their sickness is over. My daughter's still sick right now. I told her to be quiet while I'm shooting this video. Anyways, Candyman. I'm just gonna briefly touch on one. I'm not gonna get no synopsis or not plots or budgets or profits, none of that. I'm not even gonna bring in the characters. I'm just talking about the movies in general base. I'm basing this whole review on the franchise without every plot beating boring like I do. So part 1 is depicted, it's basically, depicted in, I'm gonna say current day, which was 92, Cabrini Green, Chicago, Illinois. They infamous for the Cabrini and O Block and all of they horror far as real life, gang involvement in the Chicago area. I live in Milwaukee, so I'm in tune with the Chicago-based drill music and their violence because it's wearing off on my state, Wisconsin, Milwaukee in particular. So this movie had a real life atmosphere to me. The gangs they shot in this movie were real gangs where they was like, we ain't finna pay y'all no big ass salary, but we want this to be authentic. So can y'all not kill people while we shooting? And they was extras in the movie, and the kingpins agreed. We ain't gonna do no drug activity, nothing like that while y'all shooting. And they played their role great. But the atmosphere is so realistic. That's why I think it's so scary to me. It felt like this could have been on a street I was from in Milwaukee. The aesthetics, the dialogue, Tony Todd, Helen Lyle, her husband. I love him from Walking Dead too. But her friend Bernadette, Candyman, how he just took over this woman's mind. Virginia Madsen, how beautiful she is. Everything about it. The kills, that dirty, bloody ass, nasty hook, the trench coat, his soft demeanor and his voice. And like I said, the dialogue. This ain't to me nothing like Clive Barker book that it was depicted on. It's a complete different 360 because the book got like a monster type of figure, but it's close enough where if you read the book, you would be like, oh, that's a nice little depiction. My point is, this movie is a complete 10 out of 10 to me, and that's all I'm going to say about Tony Todd. Now we finna get to the lesser known or respected movies. And I said this as controversial, and I'm going to say it again. As a Candyman aficionado, I look at Candyman like I look at Saw. I see the beauty in the trash, and I gotta say trash because I'm not gonna act like this shit a classic too, and I'm just saying it just because I love them. No, y'all got movies out there that y'all love that are just like guilty pleasures. Y'all don't view them as 10s either, but y'all love them no matter what the fans or the Rotten Tomatoes think about them, and that's how I view 2. And I said this is controversial. I'm such a Candyman buff, I prefer 2 even more than the remake, and I'm gonna tell you why. Part 2 came off of part one, like a year or two later. So it wasn't so old where it's like Candyman not fresh, but it wasn't right back to back like Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5 type shit. Or 1 and 2 in that instance also. Excuse me. My point is, part 2 is also, in my opinion, scary, but way less dramatic with the scares. Because for one, the origins get flipped around and switched up. They talk about everything they did in part 1 on a lesser scale. Like in 1, Helen and her husband at a dinner with their colleagues, and they tell the story of Candyman's origin, Daniel Robitaille, before he was Candyman. They tell it in such a dramatic fashion because Helen is battling her colleague who can do the best Candyman story. And he shits on her like, man, I did that 5 years ago. And he tell the backstory of Candyman, some shit she didn't even know about. In part 2, they fucked that up by visually showing the scene of him with the, I forgot his wife's name, the white lady he was painting her Virgin of Beauty. I forgot her name. I think her name was like Virginia or whatever it was. It shows them falling in love. It shows her getting impregnated. It shows the town's Klansmen chasing Candyman through the town. Now, in part 1, it was supposed to all happen in Chicago. This is New Orleans, where I think it makes sense to me why I buy it, because it's like his origin story, his family, his plantation, they were from New Orleans, and I guess he migrated to Chicago because he really go where the myth goes. And it's different, you know what I'm saying, different religions and fortations that got different, you know what I'm saying, imaginations of Candyman and their religion, like an Irish Candyman, a white Candyman, a black Candyman, you get what I'm saying? Every culture got their own version of Candyman. It's how they try to make it up like that in part 3, which I'm going to get to in a minute. But part 2 is based in New Orleans. And if you know anything about East Bayou, New Orleans, the trees, the slavery, like this is a state that can be very creepy. Hurricane Katrina, they just let the black people die. George Bush don't care about black people with the Kanye. Like this city, voodoo. You know what I'm saying? The gumbo, the food, the culture. This is like, to me, it always reminds me of like Haiti or something, like Haitians. Like, it got real stigma about it. So I thought the aesthetics was way scarier than a Chicago ghetto. But where it loses me is Candyman is not as iconic in this one. Everything he say in part 1 is a 10 and an A+. Everything he say in part 2 is, to me, C grade. You know what I'm saying? Like a 7. It passes, but it's like, did somebody piss you off? Like, we don't see the bees no more all on your face. They CGI them now. Like, your dialogue is on point. You doing a good job, but it's like, it just didn't do it for me. I like the movie and I like the kids because Annie, the main protagonist is Annie. She's a teacher with kids. Some of her kids are delinquent. Some of them believe in Candyman. All that stuff is okay. The movie not bad to me. It's just coming from 1, when you got a classic iconic 1, people don't really know what to do with part 2 besides money. When you get Nightmare on Elm Street 1, you try to switch the whole story up and not even use Robert Englund for part 2 until you realize this stiff stuntman don't work. My point is, sometimes 2s can be hard. Everybody can't be Terminator 2, where it's way better than part 1. Or Chucky part 2, way better than part 1. Godfather 2, way better than part 1. Part 2s ain't... Those are just iconic, legendary movies I mentioned that are better than part 1s. But part 2s are prototypically looked down upon, or when a franchise as a whole, you like, yeah, 2, it's good, but woo, woo, woo. It's always sort of forgotten, or it got a stigma, either being way better than expected or trash. And that's where this part 2 falls in. I like everything about it. It's a little more gory, because when he kills Annie's husband, he stick the hook up like some Michael Myers shit with the scalpel in part 2. He put the hook up in him, cutting from his groin to his gullet. As he hooking him, you hear the bones in the rib cage cut. Like, that shit brilliant. His mouth got a pool of blood. It's a little more bloody and gory. That's to be expected. But the kills are actually, some of them are decent. But The ending with the plantation where the slaves was kept at the end and she got to crack the mirror to kill his soul, all that kind of was like stupid because the mirror has nothing to do with Candyman's soul. That was for Caroline, that's his wife's name. That was for Caroline and closing his soul for her personal beliefs and love. But Candyman's soul is not tied to no motherfucking mirror. It's tied to the belief in his congregation. If I know that as a fan, why the fuck the writers didn't know? So some of the story didn't make sense because when I watched the first one, let's say I was probably 9 or 10. The second one, I probably was 12 or 13. It's 2 or 3 years later. I said 1 year, but it's like 2 or 3 years later. So my movie IQ ain't high as a motherfucker like it is now, but I'm a little harder to scare even at 12 and 13. And I'm starting to know the plot beating booze of movies the way my kids, they IQ gonna be crazy when they my age. Because I done finesse them and put them in the world of horror. So they know horror, paranormal, zombie. So movies don't get to them no more because they ain't grew up in the slasher era. They growing up in the cut your throat off and the blood fly and the head fly and the eyes popping out the head type shit. So it's hard to scare them and they know what's coming from me. I fucked them up with that. Other kids I watch a scary movie with, they be scared as fuck compared to my kids. I don't know why I went on that tangent, but I did anyway. My point is, that's where 2 goes. Now we get to 3. You need to have a smoke, drink, break, smoke party, drink party. This is the kind of movie you play when you playing spades, Monopoly, dominoes on Halloween with your family. You put that on the background. You don't put this on you trying to finesse your new little chick or you and your wife finna watch a movie. No, you ain't gonna like it and she ain't gonna like it. You need to put this on as background material when y'all at a party. Because this movie is, I ain't finna keep saying 0 just for some ratings or some shit, but a lot of movies don't get 1 to me. And that's where I look at this. Ain't no saving grace in this. It ain't, Tony Todd on point. Tony Todd looked like he didn't get the contract he wanted as far as money or something. Because everything he did in 1, I said that, A-10. Everything he did in 2, that's like a C, a 7 out of 10, a C level. This shit is like U-D, or it can't be U because U is a 0. It's more like D-. Like you dumb as hell, but you know just enough to pass. That's how I'm viewing this because this took a step back even from 2. And now y'all in California. I know the Day of the Dead shit, the Mexico, all that. I ain't finna act like I know Cinco de Mayo and all that, but I understood the cultural reasons why they did it. But only thing that's good is I love family connections. That's just me. The daughter in this is the daughter from part 2. Annie's daughter. She got, before her husband got split from the gullet to Gallet, she was pregnant and she had his child. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's a lot of stuff in part 2 good. The mom, Annie and the mom are ancestors to Candyman. They part of the Caroline family tree, which means they kin to Candyman. He talking about some, I don't know why y'all, my great-great-granddaughters denied me. He killed his great-great-granddaughter, which was Annie mama. Like 2 had some things I like. This, only thing it had was this is Annie's daughter. But she a Baywatch bimbo slut. Like, she thick, bad as a motherfucker, fake breast, porno star looking bitch. I want them kind of characters, the bimbo, to get killed. I don't want the main character protagonist to be a fucking bimbo. And that's what she is to me. Everything he do in 1 and 2 is way step down in 3. The kills are tampered. Like he got a scene in a movie where she finna get arrested for murder like Helen and Annie well not really Annie, but Helen from the first one. He kill these people and she getting charged for them. So she in the back of the police car, Candyman arrived. My code is making me sweat, I'm sorry. Candyman arrived, killed a kid, killed a cop in the car. The blood looks it don't even look CG. It looked like Kool-Aid. It looks so horrible. The little meat chunks on the, you know how to use props and stuff. It look probably little meat, pig meat, whatever it might be. That look fake. The kills ain't on point. Candyman show up at the, train station where she at. For one, what LA train station empty? Like, that's like going to New York and the train station empty. And it was clean. So y'all don't even got the aesthetics of a city right. He shows up the first time in the movie and with Helen 45 minutes into the movie. And it's brilliant. You like, who the fuck is this? He show up in this, the verse opening scene. CGI bees all around him. Tony Todd ain't on point to me. He talking all that fuck bullshit to her. She kind of scared, but you don't believe him or her. The kills ain't on shit. It got like a Candyman cult in 3 where they trying to like sacrifice and bring him back because they believe in him. You would think Candyman, from his logic and congregation, these the motherfuckers he would love and like. But since the body count's so trash and so little, it's like 2-3 kills. It even got Rod Lane in this as the boyfriend. Rod Lane, if you don't know, is the one who was in Friday Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1, Tina's boyfriend. He's Annie's boyfriend in this, and she got like a painting show. She like a painter to do her ancestors on Candyman because she related to him. She embraced it, unlike her mom and grandma. Her mom didn't know. Her grandma did. She embraced it. So he like the actor who played Candyman. They fall into love, and I think he died. I ain't sure. I don't give a fuck. When the Candyman worshipers, his congregation, that he say he needs so much, they finally see him in the flesh, bowing down like it's Jesus, he killed him. Like, what's the point of saying you need a congregation if you gonna kill your congregation? So, Candyman not even on point in this. This, to me, if you watching it, I say you can skip this one. People say you can skip them all besides the first one in the remake. I'm not saying that. If you watching this, you need 2 is a must watch in my opinion. So now we get to the remake. I ain't got much to say about this. You know, I said Jordan Peele when I did my top 5 horror black legends. I said Us. I think I said he got Us, Nope, and what's the other one? Us, Nope, and Get Out. And you can add Candyman to this. I don't think this is his flat-out movie he produced, wrote, and made. I think he was like a special counsel. He did a little writing, a little producing, and helped with it. So I'm counting it as his resume. My point is, this to me is stylistic, is future generation, new generation. This reminds me of the new Candyman on Netflix. I mean, the new Leatherface on Netflix. It's stylistic. It ain't creepy enough. It's shot too well. I don't want no bootleg looking movie, but certain movies don't supposed to look polished, and that's how I view my Candyman. It looked too polished, too aesthetic. You know what I'm saying? I like the character. I can't think of his name. I'm horrible with that. Y'all know I know what I'm talking about, but sometimes I just slip up on names. But I like him. He played the Mantis in the he played the Mantis in the Aquaman movie. He got a lot of shit. He played Dr. Manhattan in the HBO series for Watchmen, which I love. Watchmen. I should try to sneak that in to cover that for somehow, but it's not horror. My point is, I like the actor. I don't want to just make up a name and fuck it up. So, the movie good. He like the baby from part 1, Anthony. He's the baby from one that Helen saved, that Candyman kidnapped and said, no, be my sacrifice type of thing, and I'll give you the baby back. So all of that makes sense. They brought his mother back. Some of the homages, the story of origins of Candyman. This is where they deep dive into the lore. It's a Candyman everywhere. Like it's an Elm Street everywhere. You know what I'm saying? He telling people about the story. He telling this character about the story. He a painter. It's a good movie. But it's you see Helen in some clips, some voice recordings, but it's only one legendary character, which is his mom back. You see Tony Todd at the very, very end, Avengers post-credit type of thing, Marvel post-credit kind of thing, but it just like, it looks bad. The movie, to me, not scary at all. Like I said, I'm not going through every plot beating boing. I didn't say spoilers. I'm sorry, spoilers. But I ain't spoiled shit anyway. And like I said, the movie it's a good movie. It's just not scary to me. And overall, this is a franchise that I love and dear. Part 1 is so great that it just covers up for some of the other mishaps. And that's it. I'm not going to drag it on. This is the Candyman overall review series that I just covered all 4 movies, basically. Zeezzy the King. Like and subscribe. I got a banger for y'all coming up. I love y'all. Your favorite horror channel. And I'm out.